Okay, on the bench today, 2010, oldie but a goodie, Cadillac Escalade with a 6.2 liter and 6L80. This one had 236,000 miles on it, and he started having problems. I'd say he did pretty good, considering the age and miles of it. So we'll go and dig into this and see what we got going on. But shaft a little rough. It's okay. It'll be okay. Some of the Land Rovers would actually, I mean, they don't have the same transmission, obviously, but the transmission they used was the ZF 6-speed. In their transfer case, they would actually strip this out. Very expensive because the transfer case would be damaged and the transmission would be damaged, and it's not a cheap repair to go through the transmission and the transfer case. But it's a Land Rover, so you know nothing's cheap on those. It's pretty rough. Make sure my bucket's not overflowing. Alright, see what the pan looks like. Don't smell great. You know, definitely seeing some metal particles. It's got the chia pet going on there. And we got quite a bit here in the corner. So yeah, definitely got metal. Oof. Not as much metal. Maybe someone changed the fluid in it at some point. I don't have any notes that the client said they did, but it's possible. Trying not to destroy my wrist before I'm 50. Okay. All right, I got all the bolts pulled out of these. See how the pump looks. Not terrible. There's a little groove in there. It's the PR valve. You can already, if you can already see it, I can see it. So I had somebody message the business page asking us if we could replace the torque converter in his truck, his 6L80 equipped Chevy truck. Just had it, doesn't have any issues, he says, but wants to replace the torque converter preemptively and do the thermal bypass, which is admirable. I get it. You know, you want to kind of try and nip that in the bud if you can, right? The only problem I have with that is it's not addressing this PR bore wear, pressure regulator wear. There's a good chance, you know, any kind of wear in the PR system is going to have an effect on converter pressure. And so you spend that money to, you know, remove the transmission, install an upgraded converter. Great. Well, this valve here is going to undermine all of that money you just spent at some point. So I don't feel 100% right doing that work, doing that job. And I let them know that. I know it might seem like, oh, you just want them to wait till it fails to get a bigger bill. I mean, it's going to be a bigger bill if he puts a converter there now, and then a year or two later, he's got to put a transmission in it, and then the converter's likely damaged from the runaway pressure in the regulator system going nuts. So how can no one's going to warranty a transmission rebuild with a used converter? So now the bill is just as big, and he's already spent money putting a converter to try and stop something from happening. So that's just my take on it. I mean, I get it. I understand where he's coming from, but I would just save my money up, and when it starts acting up, then do it all at one time. Pull it out, tear it apart, get your PR fixed, get your valve body issues fixed, get your pump issues fixed. Do it all at one time. This has got some pretty deep grooving in here. You can see all the metal inside there. It's a gamble. I mean, there's a good chance he changes the converter and he's good to go. He's all set. And there's a good chance he changes the converter, and then he's got problems down the road. Maybe not long down the road, and that would really suck. So that's just not the kind of stuff I want to get into or be a part of. I'm sure someone out there will do it for him. I just don't want to. I really don't want to get into that. So I just had to politely say no. And just explain my stance on it. Hopefully they understand. If they don't, I'm sorry. Did I pull? Forgot those sevens. Alright, let's see what kind of metal we got in here. The screen's got metal in it there. No bueno. And this thing was acting up, if I remember correctly. I'm having trouble remembering because he brought it here, he left, and then brought it back. And if I remember correctly, it was acting up pretty bad. The tech had an issue with it falling out of gear and not wanting to move at times. And we're like, dude, this thing is... she's, as the kids would say, cooked. And he's like, okay, and I'll just pay you for your time and I'll take it home. I'm like, you're going to drive it? Yep. Okie dokie. You made it home, I guess. Made it back here again. Look at that metal cascading. That's awful. But he did bring it back, so yeah, we're grateful that he decided to trust us with his ride. It's tough out there finding good, reliable transmission repair. See, the 456s took some heat there. I don't think everybody's nefarious. Like, I don't think there's a lot of people out to, like, get people per se. But I think a lot of it is just ignorance. Like, people will learn how to take one apart and put it back together again. And then they say, I'm a transmission builder. I can build transmissions. Which, I mean, yeah, you can take it apart and put them back together. The problem is, whenever they have that works great as long as you never have an issue. You change the parts they tell you to change, and you get it all back together, and it works. Hallelujah! I'm the master transmission builder. But what separates the builders from the wannabes is when something happens and you have an issue you got to track down and find. Because sometimes you can change all the parts and do all the right things and still have a problem that you actually have to diagnose and figure out. And understanding how a lot of this works helps you figure out the problems when you have them, or helps you to notice issues before they become problems. A lot of people get caught up, they'll take one apart and they miss a small detail of something. I've seen that before. Like, I can tell you stories upon stories of people going through transmissions, you know, that I've been doing it, I know what I'm doing, and they know how to take it apart and put them back together, and they know how to change the parts. But as soon as there's a weird issue, they haven't that's not in their textbook of want to connect the dots, they miss it. And that's where an actual transmission builder comes in and can see what's good and what's bad without having to dyno test it in the vehicle. You know what I mean? So, I've seen some stuff. I've seen some things. And I made my share of mistakes, no doubt. But I mean, there's been people that have been doing this a long ass time, and I've had to go behind them and fix things that they couldn't figure out. Because you can for a long time you can just change parts and get away with it. You know, if you come with a problem, can't figure it out, just give them the money back, send them on the road, whatever. Don't deal with it. I've always been a figure it out kind of guy, even to the detriment of my wallet, because I want to know what's causing the issue, why it did this, and when I have a problem, I want to figure it out, what went wrong. And I've learned a lot doing that. It may have cost me a lot of time and money, but I mean, you got to pay for an education somehow. I don't think any education is free. So, kind of how I look at it. It may have cost me, but I think I gained something from each one of those experiences. That's made me better. And I think that's the important thing. I think a lot of people overlook that. They don't want to struggle. They just want the result, you know. But the struggle is where you learn. It's where you get better. And once you get better, you're able to handle that struggle easier. And it's not really a struggle anymore. And there are a lot of things I do now that I struggled with in the past. And I just had to struggle through it and learn. And that made me better. And so now I'm able to do things now a lot easier than I did 20 years ago. I was like, all right. I mean, I'm working on some things that even 10 years ago I wouldn't work on because, you know, I didn't know anything about it. I don't know, I don't know if I can do that. And now I'm working on that more complicated things because I put the time in to struggle. So, if you want to take my advice, which, you know, take it or leave it, may not have the best advice. Put the work in. I mean, don't kill yourself doing it, but try not to shy away from doing work. If something's hard, do your best to figure it out. I mean, you don't want to go bankrupt or go broke or lose your family trying to figure a problem out, but if you've got the means, figure it out. You'll be better for it in the end. So, yeah, that's done. Done. Got the accordion style. Yep, cooked. 450 on broil. Cooked. So let's get this center support out. You know, I think the biggest moment when I was like, oh, we're gonna fight today, aren't we? Alright, one more try and I'm pausing this. Okay, one more time. Alright. I'm gonna figure that out. Something's a little wonky there. So like I was saying, the struggle. That was weird. It didn't want to come out of there. I haven't seen one do that. But I was going to say, since we're rambling, I think the biggest, like, wow moment for me, like when I came into this industry, there's a guy I looked up to and one of my mentors. I've had a few mentors, but one of them, he was working at a shop, and I would hang out with him, and he would tell me things and show me things. You know, I didn't know nothing about anything, but I knew I wanted to rebuild transmissions. That was, don't know, just got it in my head is what I wanted to do. And so I hung around him when I had time, and he would tell me things and show me things because he had been doing it for 20 years-ish. And I would ask him questions and questions and questions, and he'd show me things. And I think what's weird is now I've been doing this for a good long while, and he's still doing it. And now he will call me and ask me questions about things. Because of all the new technology coming out. And, you know, there's all that metal in there. It's ridiculous. It's not so much like a knowledge thing per se, it's an information thing. I have always prided myself on keeping up with information. And I keep my subscriptions active to all the aftermarket transmission places. I stay on top of the OE information. And when I'm going into this stuff, I'm going to be checking out, you know, theories of operations and different parts. And I want to look up, you know, what are the best aftermarket parts out there? What are the update parts? What are the upgrades? How they work with the factory stuff. I'm always looking into those things. And I think a lot of people don't. They just kind of, I don't want to say they're lazy. They just don't have access to it, or whoever they're working for doesn't prioritize it, which is a shame, because I mean, I own the business here, so I prioritize information. But there are some people out there that work field that don't prioritize information, and so I don't know how they build transmissions, to be honest with you. I don't know how you can just raw dog the whole building process without having information, because I mean, it's invaluable for all the stuff I work on every day. And if you have a problem, oh my god, I don't know how you're going to figure it out, because I mean, you got to have access to solenoid diagrams, application charts, solenoid names, because I mean, what the OE calls them and the aftermarket calls them, they change the names. You have to kind of decipher what's what. So having these diagrams really help, and you can watch when they're applied, how they're applied, and understand how they work, and then you can, you know, diagnose the issue better. Toyotas are strange to diagnose when they start getting solenoid codes. So that helps having the information. So guys, with that information, I don't know how y'all do it. I don't know. But yeah. And I think that's a lot of why he calls me now, is because he doesn't have access to the information. And so, because I'm not saying he's dumb or doesn't know, he just doesn't have access to the information that he needs. So he's got to call me now. I hate that it's devolved for him like that. Because, I mean, I feel like he could still be on top of his game if he was privy to that information. But you got to pay for it, and some shop owners don't want to pay for it. And my friends, those are the shops that I would avoid, because if everything goes great, awesome, but if things go wrong, your car might be there a while while they try and figure out what's wrong with it. Or they'll send you up the road to some other shop. Oh, it's an engine issue or an electrical problem, and blah blah blah. Nope. If you look at the diagram, it's definitely in the transmission. I'm gonna let this drain out, because I try to get the snap ring out, it pops me in the face every time with fluid. Sorry if I rambled too much for you. I'm just kind of like, we've done 1,000 of these, so I can only show you so many burnt 3, 4, 5, 6 clutches. So I thought I'd ramble a little bit about the industry and about myself a little bit. See all that metal just centrifuging itself right to the outside of that drum. All the metal inside there just hanging out. Yo, what's up? This one's got the old style 2-piece planetary setup. If it comes out easy, great. If it doesn't, we'll leave it here and I'll do it later. So I got to pull this one out too, drop that ring gear out, clean all the metal that's back here. Upper ring gear, that's swing by. It's actually a three piece. It's an upper ring gear, lower ring gear, and the outer shell. The late model ones, these ring gears are made into the entire assembly, and then you just drop the plant in. This one, not so much. Just a couple extra steps, no big deal. NBD, get that out. I'll drain you. Got it on my arm. Alright, so I'll pull this apart in a bit. Let it drain some more. So yeah, biggest one was the 456 are toasty. Everything else looks decent, so we'll get the new parts, get the upgrades, and clean all this nastiness up and get this man back in his caddy. Alright everyone, thanks for watching.